Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Jamie Landers. Thank you for joining us. The Phoenix City Council voted to remove mask mandates for fully vaccinated people today. The decision comes after the Center for Disease Control said fully vaccinated people can resume most activities as normal without wearing a mask. However, masks are still required in places that provide public transport, such as buses and even Sky Harbor Airport. And private businesses can still enforce mask mandates for customers. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego says that they have updated their requirements in accordance with the CDC guidelines. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says that different areas are facing different struggles with the pandemic at this time.
I actually think, as I look at the map, a very heterogeneous map of how we're doing with cases, how we're doing with vaccinations. The decisions about whether to take off a mask mandate have to be made at the local level, have to be made at the community level.
While more than 5.6 million vaccines have been administered in Arizona, state health officials hope for an increase in demand for the vaccine. In an attempt to achieve that goal, the Arizona Department of Health says they're starting a door-to-door initiative to educate people about getting vaccinated. The canvassing will start this Saturday in conjunction with a pop-up vaccination clinic for children. The pop-up children's clinic will be in Grant Park on 3rd Street in Phoenix and is part of an effort to distribute vaccines in underserved communities. Children 12 and up will be able to go to the site with their parents to get the vaccine for free. A group is suing the Arizona Senate in an effort to access records related to the Maricopa County audit of the 2020 election. American Oversight, which is based in Washington, says the Senate is violating public records law by not turning over the audit records. The lawsuit was filed on Tuesday in the Maricopa County Superior Court. The group says they're looking for any and all records, including communications with the Senate audit liaison, Ken Bennett, and the audit's budget. Attorney Rupali Desai says the company running the audit, Cyber Ninjas, cannot escape public records law just because they're a private company. American Oversight is not suing for access to the ballots from the November election. After Arizona Supreme Court Justice Andrew Gold retired April 1st, 7 candidates have lined up to fill the position. Of those 7 candidates, 5 are women. The Commission on Appellate Court Appointments nominated 5 judges and 2 attorneys to fill Gold's spot on the bench. Governor Ducey has 60 days to name an appointment for the position. Vice Chief Justice Ann Scott Timmer has been the only female judge in the state's Supreme Court since 2015. Of the 7 nominations for the spot, 5 are judges and 2 are attorneys. 2 best friends are making Gilbert's roadways safer for cyclists. Adam and Evan encouraged the installment of 42 bike safety signs across the town of Gilbert. This comes after 34 cyclists were hit by a car in Gilbert in 2020. As Caitlin Keenahan reports, the 2 hope the signs will increase awareness and decrease the number of accidents in their hometown.
So I'm a jokester, I'm sorry, that's bad, edit that out.
Meet Adam and Evan. They're best friends, serious cyclists, and also the masterminds behind the 42 bike safety signs that popped up on Gilbert's busiest roadways.
Every day when we go ride, each one of us has countless stories where we've almost been hit by a car, and it just seems like there's not a lot of education, both for drivers and for bikers.
Evan knows.
Back in 2017, we were out riding bikes on a Saturday morning, and I was hit by a car. But I actually haven't been able to get back on the bike very often. I have major anxiety going out riding now.
Evan is one of more than 1,000 cyclists who were hit by a car in 2017. And of those, 25 people died. Now, in 2019, those numbers remained high at 940 people being hit by a car. And Evan and Adam think even one is too many.
What we're really trying to create is more of an educational and PSA awareness.
They worked with the city of Gilbert to locate crash-prone intersections.
By finding the frequency of roads and the crash data, we merge that together to figure out where there's the best spots to place these signs across the town.
Then Evan's family foundation, Donald C. Brace, gave Gilbert $35,000 to kickstart the initiative.
The goal that I think Adam and I have is, the signs are just the start. Will there be more signs? Yes, there will be more signs. But again, beyond signs, we want to educate people. We want to figure out how to get those PSAs out there.
The PSA starts with the signs. and extends to awareness for both drivers and cyclists.
Let's stop at the red light.
Only then will we be able to safely and truly
Triathlon one, I couldn't wear that one.
share the roads. In Gilbert, Caitlin Keenahan, Cronkite News.
The NBA announced the schedule for the first round of the 2021 playoffs, and the Phoenix Suns are set to play the Los Angeles Lakers. The first game will take place at 12:30 p.m. on Sunday in downtown Phoenix. This is the first time the Suns have made the playoffs in a decade. And now a look back at some of our stories showing the impact that COVID-19 has had on our community.
1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the U.S. have experienced some form of physical violence by their partner. And since the pandemic started, numbers have only increased. Reporter Julia Sandor took a look at how the pandemic has affected victims' safe place shelters.
In Arizona alone, more than 42% of women and 33% of men have experienced domestic violence. And shelters right here in the Valley are another essential service that has been greatly impacted by the pandemic. It's a pandemic within a pandemic. While the coronavirus spread throughout the country, domestic violence spread through homes in Arizona. And shelters had to turn away families due to new COVID protocols.
For those of us who are working in the domestic violence shelters, we want to help those people. But the problem is that we have to safely distance the populations that live on our campus to ensure their safety and to mitigate the opportunity for the infection to get to our participants. And so instead of having 94 women and children on this campus, we have 68.
A lot of support services that victims used to move on from the shelters were also hit hard because of the pandemic.
So community supports has been difficult. I mean, if you think about community supports like acquisition of jobs, acquisition of housing, all of those types of things require, funding, and we saw a decrease in funding.
According to Phoenix Police Department statistics, domestic violence-related deaths increased by 140% from 2019 to 2020.
One thing I will say is that not a single provider of services for domestic violence or for sexual violence stopped providing services during the pandemic. So it's something I think we should be incredibly proud of as a state, that not a single one of those providers had to stop or shut down, that they continued as essential services.
And with the continued support, shelters and services are preparing to open their doors back up to more victims.
So I'm starting to sense hope on our campus because things are going to start slowly going back to normal. Of course, we're doing it very slowly.
As shelters begin to lift restrictions, they are hoping to open up more beds and spaces for families affected by domestic violence during the pandemic. In the Broadcast Center, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
Right now, a Phoenix organization is working to get some of the city's most vulnerable vaccinated for COVID-19. Mackenzie Allen Charnley has more on a multi-organizational effort targeting hundreds who live on the streets.
The group Circle the City teamed up with Maricopa County officials for a week-long vaccination event intended to give people experiencing homelessness an equal opportunity to get vaccinated. Vaccinating the homeless is vital in achieving herd immunity. That's why Maricopa County teamed up with Circle the City and the Human Services Campus, two groups that serve the area's homeless population. This month, they held a week-long event in Central Phoenix to get more shots in more arms.
Sometimes, or many times in the business that we are in, we need to meet people where they are. We need to go where they live, where they stay, where they sleep. And so this is a perfect place to reach out to as many people as we can.
It's something community members in the area are thankful for.
I'm totally grateful because I didn't think I was going to be able to get it because I have no computer and I don't have a smartphone and everything was signed up. Well, I came down here and I got my shot.
Circle the City provides comprehensive health care for men, women, and children experiencing homelessness, including cancer treatment. Just last year, the organization served over 7,500 people, so making vaccinations available in a convenient place was a key goal.
It is important for people, individuals that are experiencing homelessness, because in many cases they're not connected to clinics that are available to a lot of the population, and so a a lot of times don't know where to go to receive just basic care, and maybe wouldn't even know that the vaccine would be available to them. And so a part of what we're doing here is giving them a vaccine, but also helping them get connected with a clinic for continuity of care.
65-year-old Maurice Freeman, who has been experiencing homelessness since October, sees the event as a way of helping the community and making a difference.
Healthcare is wonderful here. You take advantage of what people have to offer you and go from there, you know. So if everybody gets vaccinated, we can save lives, I think.
According to community liaison Marty Hames, the event saw immense success, and Circle the City will continue to offer free vaccinations to individuals experiencing homelessness through outpatient and mobile clinics. In the broadcast center, Mackenzie Allen-Charmley, Cronkite News.
Our other big story tonight, in executive order, Governor Doug Ducey rescinded his past requirement that all school districts have a face covering policy. Cronkite News reporter Reed Harmon tells us what schools are reacting to this.
Governor Ducey issued that order late yesterday. Now, it's up to the state school districts to decide whether students should wear masks or not. Governor Doug Ducey has left it in the hands of the school districts.
According to our mitigation plan, which is adopted board policy, face masks are to be worn at all times, and it will stay that way unless our governing board rescinds that policy.
This continues the theme from some Arizona school districts. Notices were sent out to families and staff, either maintain their mask mandates or continue with face coverings recommended but not required.
Our first priority yesterday was to communicate first with staff and secondly with parents, and we did that as quickly as we could.
According to the Arizona Department of Health Services, 38% of Arizona residents have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Around 27% of Arizonans are fully vaccinated. However, a big portion of school-aged children are not vaccinated.
That means preschool, kinder, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th graders are still not vaccinated and are still in schools. And even though teachers are vaccinating for the most part, our students are not.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention still requires face coverings for people 2 years old and up. But with just over a month left of school, how does Ducey's decision impact the students?
I think this sends a mixed message to our students who have worked just as hard as we have to stay safe during this pandemic. It's saying that with 26 days left in the school year, that the pandemic, we don't need to wear masks anymore. It's not as important.
Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction Kathy Hoffman called the governor's removal of the mask mandate embarrassing in a statement she posted last night. Schools will continue to decide on masks district by district as the school year comes to a close. In the broadcast center, Reed Harmon, Cronkite News.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been hard on small businesses, but Cronkite News reporter Tyler Mannion went inside a local staple to find out about a different type of struggle the coronavirus has caused.
Film Bar is a unique combination of exactly what you'd expect, a place to view films and a bar. But when I went to get the story of yet another business that struggled through COVID, what I found here was different and deeper than what I've heard before. The reels started rolling at Film Bar in downtown Phoenix 10 years ago. Since, it's been called a cultural epicenter for the city. Owner Kelly Aubie created a place that reminds people of home.
It's a little bit like going to see a film in a really interesting living room with, 75 of your best friends.
But COVID-related health precautions made that impossible. And Film Bar was like the 62% of businesses that saw a loss of revenue nationwide.
Our numbers are down 90% or greater.
Aubie considered turning out the lights for good. A decision had to be made. And while the comfortable business plan was this indoor seating arrangement, now all of these seats would be empty. So we had to adapt, and did so by changing locations. The solution was to make an outdoor theater with, yes, a huge screen and slightly different chairs. But the emotional toll the pandemic took was strong.
I've always kind of thought of myself as somebody who was pretty good at managing his feelings about stuff and kind of a strong guy and can move forward. But there have been long periods of time where I'm not sure I have anything left.
This constant struggle is the less discussed side of COVID-19's impact on small business. In many ways, it was the straw that almost broke this entrepreneur's back.
I just didn't see a way forward And it didn't at the moment feel as sad as you might think. I was so tired and beat up at that point that it kind of felt like a relief that I could admit to myself that it was time to move on from this.
But then came a surge of support on social media, with hundreds of people commenting, sharing, and most importantly donating. Albie had no choice. And going from stale popcorn on the floor of an abandoned theater to this would help start to swing those emotions. So would success at the new location.
To see a full house again, with people that are ready to see this production. And I addressed the crowd when I walked up. I mean, it almost brought a tear to my eye because it was like, there they are, you know? Not there they are because, hey, maybe my business is gonna make it, but there they are because they're getting out.
Now, it's back to the mission of bringing people together through film. Selling a few drinks and showing films again are the important first steps. Because while movies unite a community,
Enjoy the show.
so do small businesses. Film Bar has applied for the SVG grant, which would award them 45% of gross revenue from 2019 and save the business. If they don't get it, though, Albie will be faced with yet another tough decision. In the studio, Tyler Mannion, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for Break It Down. That's next. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.